The partner I forced into marriage has lost his memory. That should have been the perfect chance for me to slip in. Unfortunately, his so-called true love doesn't have the habit of staying abroad for long. By the time I rushed to the hospital, the two of them had already locked eyes again. He looked at me and asked, "They say you're my spouse. Did you come here because you want me to go back with you?" I smiled faintly and cut him off. "I came to have you sign the divorce papers." 1. When I first heard Austin had been in a car accident, my heart skipped a beat. But just a few minutes later, I still had to walk into a signing meeting for an acquisition deal. Right before leaving, I casually asked, "How did he suddenly get into an accident?" Word is he was out with that Omega, and they ran into a car going the wrong way. Then, the step I'd already taken toward the door slowly drew back. Carl, Austin's so-called true love. My sister, who had rushed over after hearing the news, panted as she asked, "Brother, are you going to check on your husband first? I can hold things down for a while." "No, the meeting goes on as planned." She sighed, clearly more anxious than I was. "Brother, you're really okay letting him be in the same room with that Omega? What difference does it make whether I'm okay with it or not? A heart beats in flesh, not in logic. No one can change that. Even if I barged in today and pulled them apart, could I guarantee Austin's heart wouldn't keep beating for someone else? Go get ready for the meeting. We'll talk after everything's done." 2. Only after the meeting wrapped up as planned did I finally sit in the car headed for the hospital. At first, my secretary spoke hesitantly, telling me that the Omega was the one taking care of Austin right now. I waved my hand after hearing just a few words. "Don't bring that up. Use the time to organize the meeting notes instead." That shut everyone up, leaving the ride quiet enough for me to sort my own thoughts. When we reached the hospital and I stood outside the ward, I could tell the patient inside was already awake. "Austin, does your head still hurt? Do you want me to call the doctor again?" That trembling, tear-choked voice had to be the Omega's. "No, I'm fine. Please don't cry, alright?" That weak but indulgent tone could only be Austin's. See, when two hearts are truly bound, amnesia doesn't tear them apart. I had no interest in eavesdropping on this pitiful couple. I pushed the door straight open. Carl scrambled clumsily up from his chair the moment he saw me, shrinking timidly to the side. Typical Omega, soft and fragile like a creeping vine. If I weren't the kind of beta who admired strength, I might have fallen under his spell too. I gave him a slight nod, then turned my eyes to Austin. "You're awake." Lying on the bed, Austin frowned faintly, probably uncomfortable with my blunt tone. "Yeah, sorry, the doctor said I've lost part of my memory." "So, could you tell me who you are?" "I'm your partner." "Partner?" Austin looked doubtful, struggling to sit up. Carl rushed to help him, but Austin instinctively dodged his hand. Carl pulled back, embarrassed, while I remained completely unmoved. Austin looked back and forth between me and Carl. "Sorry, it's just that this gentleman was taking care of me when I woke up, so I thought." "You thought right. I may be your partner, but the truth is, ours was only a business marriage. The one you really love is the man who's been at your side this whole time." 3. Seeing Austin still looking utterly confused, I kindly spelled it out. "When I say business marriage, what I really mean is that I forced you into it. After we got together, you never fell in love with me. Instead, you were constantly wrapped up with this Carl. Today's our 3rd wedding anniversary, and you landed in the hospital because you were protecting him. Do I need to keep listing more examples of your love story?" Maybe my tone was too sharp, because Austin's expression turned ugly. Carl, worried for him, grabbed at my sleeve. "Please, don't say things like that. This is all my fault. I was the one clinging to Austin. Don't blame him. A pair of shameless men. Does it really matter who's at fault?" That voice suddenly came from outside the room. Turning my head, I wasn't surprised to see my sister walk in. From the moment she entered, she must have been releasing her alpha pheromones, because the Omega beside me had already turned pale from the pressure. "Miss, please mind your words. And there's an Omega here, take back your pheromones." Austin must have released his own pheromones as well, because Carl's face eased a little. My sister let out a cold snort. "TCH, and to think I once called you brother-in-law. Now you've lost your memory and still instinctively protect that Omega. Guess I was blind." I raised a hand to stop my fuming sister. "That's enough. No need to say more, brother." 4. But Austin still seemed unhappy with how I'd handled things, as if he instinctively blurted out something to defend Carl. "Carl's an Omega. Can't you guys cut him a little slack?" "Cut him slack? How exactly?" "By giving him my man." "You tell me, how should I cut him slack?" I stared straight at Austin, at the man who once gave me the illusion of love. He didn't answer, so I raised my voice just a little and asked again. "You tell me, how?" Feeling myself drifting dangerously close to hysterics, I shut my mouth and pressed my fingers to my temple. Right then Carl's trembling voice crept in. Please don't be angry. Austin just woke up. My sister had finally had enough. She stepped forward and shoved Carl aside. What business of yours is this? Carl staggered back a few steps and fell onto Austin's hospital bed. Almost by reflex, Austin threw his arm out in front of Carl to shield him. Miss, what do you think you're doing? Austin's tone was cool but firm. This is my room. I don't welcome people who come in and hit or scold others. Please leave immediately, or I'll have the security guard escort you out. I stared coldly at the two of them protecting each other on that bed, feeling nothing but bone-deep exhaustion. But Austin wasn't done. He turned his head toward me. Control your people. I don't know what you and your sister came here for today, but I need rest. Whatever it is, we can discuss it later. After saying that, he hesitated for a moment, then added, since aren't we partners? We can talk about it later. No need for later. I cut him off again. You asked what I'm here for. I'm here to have you sign the divorce papers and stop wasting both our time. I don't have the papers on me right now. Someone will bring them over later. Sign them, and once you're discharged, we'll file everything officially. Divorce? But I haven't regained my memory yet. What if I regret it? I let out a short, cold laugh, my patience for his words completely gone. How could you regret it? You've been dying for this. 5. With my sister in tow, I walked out of the hospital without looking back. I ruffled her hair gently. Sorry I let you get dragged into that just now. I promise I'll never let it happen again. She pouted and leaned against my shoulder. I'm not the one who's upset. You are, brother. Upset? How could I be? This is just me reaping what I sowed. I knew perfectly well Austin had someone he loved, but I still used my position to force this marriage. I still remember the first time I met Austin. I was drunk, squatting by the roadside, throwing up until the world spun. He happened to drive by, stopped his car, and handed me warm water and a handkerchief. I remember laughing to myself at the time, an alpha being so delicate. Later, when I returned that handkerchief to him, he folded it neatly and slipped it into the breast pocket over his heart. He treasured it so carefully. It felt like being cherished. But later on, I found out that handkerchief had been prepared for him by Carl. Austin never went anywhere without it. Isn't that hilarious? All my fluttering feelings, all the moments I thought were special, were just me fooling myself. And still, I liked him all on my own. Still, I brought this on myself. 6 days passed, and the signed divorce papers never came back. I had no intention of dragging it out any longer, but I did meet Austin once when he was discharged. Have you signed the divorce papers? If you have, we can move to the next step. I didn't sign. I tore them up. Austin looked me straight in the eye as he said it. Carl stood beside him with his head bowed. You tore them up? What's wrong? Did that hospital stay damage your brain? Austin stared at me, unblinking, as if under some strange spell. I won't divorce you, Arthur. Don't even think about it. It felt like I'd been hexed. His gaze made my heart stumble, like being caught by a ghost. I forced the unease down and flicked my hand. Suit yourself. A marriage like widowhood isn't much different from being single anyway. Austin took 2 steps toward me, as if he wanted to say something. Arthur. I didn't know where he'd learned my name, or if some memory had come back to him. But I stepped back, slid into the car, and sat down. Turns out even someone you once liked can become someone you don't even want to look at. 7. For the first time ever, I skipped half a day of work and went home. Our home, mine and Austin's. Or rather, my home and Austin's temporary shelter. He'd lost his memory, he probably wouldn't come back anyway. So for the first time, I stepped into his study. Because of my guilt over this marriage, I had never pried into his private life. A space as personal as a study, I'd never even set foot in. But now things were different. Now I wanted to see just how much Austin disliked me. I poked around and found 2 boxes, one old wooden chest and one brand new locked case. I tried Austin's birthday for the lock, then Carl's birthday. Neither worked, probably the date they first met. So I turned instead to the unlocked wooden box. Inside were Austin's middle and high school photo albums, an old watch, photos of Carl growing up, and a picture frame wrapped in a clean handkerchief. Hands shaking, I slowly unwrapped the cloth. Inside the frame was a photo of Austin and Carl together. They were in their school uniforms, looking so young, so perfectly matched. And yet who would ever know? In this huge house, over these 3 long years, Austin and I didn't even have a single photo together. Austin, you really did win. You won completely. And me, I'm finally tasting the bitter fruit of my own choices. I wonder if this ending would satisfy you. 8. I must be insane, shedding tears over a single photo. Taking a photo together is such an easy thing. If I wanted, I could have photos with every famous person inside and outside this country. But with this one man, Austin, I never even dared to ask. The things inside that wooden box were already humiliating enough. I lost any curiosity about what was in the locked case. I had meant to throw both boxes away, but my eyes suddenly caught on a paper calendar lying on the desk. On it, someone had circled a date in red ink, another one of his and Carl's anniversaries. I sneered and flipped through it, but when I saw that my own birthday was circled too, I couldn't sneer anymore. Out of 360 plus days a year, only on my birthday could I have the illusion that Austin belonged completely to me. On that day, he wouldn't answer anyone else's calls. From morning to night, he was only my lover. Because of that, I kept lying to myself over and over that he did care for me. But how much is that care really worth, when I've paid 3 years after 3 years for it? I put the calendar back where it was and tidied the wooden box. Forget it, I thought. Truly giving up on someone shouldn't end in revenge. It should end with a dignified goodbye and never looking back. I took out my phone to call Austin, then suddenly remembered I didn't even know his new number. So I contacted Austin's secretary. Come over when you have time and pick up your boss's things. I'm already parked outside your door. 9. I didn't know what Austin was doing here at this hour, probably coming to pick up his stuff. I casually tossed the box back, went downstairs, and opened the door. You're here, come in. I've packed up your clothes and luggage for you. As for the rest, deal with it yourself. Packed up? Why did you pack my things? Austin's tone carried a rare, clear note of confusion. Arthur, I told you, I'm not leaving. I may have lost my memories, but I know myself. I wouldn't force myself to stay with someone I don't like. So no, I'm not leaving. Apparently amnesia could be used like this too. I didn't bother arguing. I picked up a glass, raised it slightly, then set it down. You don't want to leave? Fine. Then without using any props, if you want to fix this, we reconcile. Or, I tilted my head. Kneel on these broken shards all night, and maybe I'll reconsider. 10. I threw over my shoulder, if you can't even do that, then just get out, and went upstairs by myself. Maybe it was because I was still irritated, but that night I couldn't sleep well. I woke up drenched in sweat, like I'd been licked all over by a dog. I even had a nightmare. I heard someone whispering right next to my ear. How can you be so heartless, baby? Just wait a little longer, okay? When I've cleared them all out, I'll stay by your side forever. The next morning when I got up, the shards had already been cleaned up, and the table was full of breakfast. Austin was wearing an apron, his knees wrapped in bandages, bringing dishes out from the kitchen. When he heard my footsteps, he looked up at me with a nervous glance, holding the plate. For a second I felt like I'd been thrown back into that time when I was still fooling myself about being happy. But as soon as I came back to my senses, I felt sick to my stomach. I forced myself not to lash out and just sat down quietly. Austin quickly set a bowl of porridge in front of me and sat across from me. Even without looking up, I could feel his burning gaze. Arthur, I asked your secretary about what you like to eat. He said I've always handled your meals, so I thought I knew you best. I just cooked from instinct. I don't know if you'll like it. I didn't lift my head or respond. I just scooped up a spoonful of porridge and put it in my mouth. The next second I spat it back out into a napkin. Austin jumped up immediately. What's wrong? Too hot. Not to your taste. I'm sorry, it's my fault for forgetting what you liked after losing my memories. Spitting it out wasn't enough. After hearing that, I gagged a few more times. Frowning, I went to the bathroom to rinse my mouth. When I came back out, I grabbed my coat and headed for the door. Austin still had the nerve to ask, Arthur, you're not eating breakfast? I can pack you something else to take with you. What about lunch? I was pulling on my shoes with one hand and dialing my secretary with the other, not even bothering to answer him. Order me breakfast from Juxiangju. Just tell them it's me. They know what I like. Yes, boss. That shut Austin up at last. I didn't have time to look back at whatever expression he was making and walked straight out the door. In this mess of debts and grievances, who still wants to play at being a loving couple? It's nauseating. 11. Truth is, that porridge Austin made was exactly to my taste. Everything else on the table too. But when I tasted Juxiangju's food again, it all clicked. There are plenty of people who can make good porridge. Back then, I thought Austin's cooking was the best because I believed it was an expression of his feelings. Now I see it for what it is. Porridge is just porridge, food is just food. Lots of people can make it well. What Austin made wasn't anything special after all. Right on cue, my sister walked into my office, sniffing at the aroma. Whoa, that smells good. Bro, don't tell me you brought that guy's food again. I jerked my chin at the takeout bag on the desk. Oh, Juxiangju. No wonder it smelled familiar. Didn't you used to eat their stuff all the time before? Yeah, Before Austin, I ate breakfast from Juxiangju for 5 years straight. After meeting him, I never touched it again. Now that I'm eating it again, it still suits me perfectly. I kept eating while flipping through documents. My sister grumbled under her breath. Honestly, Juxiangju's food tastes a lot like his cooking. Ugh, just mentioning him makes me mad. Then don't mention it. Talking about that while eating is disgusting. That actually made her brighten a little. Only my brother can talk like that. When you curse someone it just feels satisfying. We chatted idly, and suddenly I remembered something. Oh, and you, stop going after that Carl guy. If something blows up, it'll be trouble. After all, Carl's an Omega, protected under the law. My sister curled her lip, dismissive. So what? He can mess with me but I can't hit back. Relax, bro, I know what I'm doing. I sighed. If only she really did. Then I wouldn't have to worry. 12. I worked straight through until noon. Standing at my desk, I stretched my stiff back. Someone knocked at the door. Thinking it was my secretary with lunch, I just called, "Come in." But it was Austin, carrying a thermos. Lost his memories but still remembered how to play the attentive routine. My status really is useful, huh? Arthur, I knew you'd be so busy you'd forget to eat, so I rushed over. Don't worry, these are all dishes I learned straight from Juxiangju's menu. They'll suit your taste for sure. The tea was actually quite good. I sipped it slowly, my eyes on the ink painting hanging on my office wall. Austin had bought me that painting. Time to replace it. He noticed I wasn't answering, followed my gaze to the painting, and smiled as he stepped closer. Arthur, you like this style of ink painting, right? I'll take more shots like this for you, then you can rotate them. I still said nothing, just put my cup down and poured another. Austin's hand tightened around the thermos as he moved closer, smiling. Arthur, what kind of tea is this? I think I still have a stash of good tea at my place. I'll have someone sort it out so you can take it. I kept my eyes off him, as if he wasn't even there. Austin's smile started to crack, a lonely strain showing through. He tugged lightly at my sleeve, his voice turning hoarse with hurt. Arthur, why won't you look at me? 13. Just then, there was another knock at the door. Come in. Boss, your lunch. My secretary came in holding the meal, glanced at me, then at Austin gripping my sleeve, his expression flickering awkwardly between embarrassment and hesitation. Put the food on my desk and lay it out. Why yes, boss. Oh, and one more thing. From now on, don't let any random people in here. The secretary cast a quick look at Austin, whose face had gone paper white and didn't dare reply. I ignored what anyone else might think, simply pulling my sleeve free from Austin's hand, sitting back down at my desk, and finishing the sentence smoothly. Otherwise, if company secrets get leaked, who's going to take responsibility? That finally made the secretary speak. Understood, boss. I'll pass the word down. I nodded and began eating my lunch as if nothing had happened. The secretary looked at Austin, then back at me, clearly torn. Austin, sure enough, didn't press further. Arthur, since you don't want to look at me today, I'll go for now. Do you want anything special for dinner tonight? I'll get it for you. Why even bother asking, when he already knew I wouldn't answer? 14. When Austin left, I stopped the secretary, who was about to go as well. From today, take some people and quietly check every department's chatter. Any gossip at all, dig deeper. Don't let a single one slip through. And especially the projects involved, go over them in detail. The secretary's expression sharpened, turning serious. Yes, boss. I really wanted to see which project was so valuable that Austin could swallow his pride and play the attentive husband. 15. Until I figured it out, I had to put up with Austin's careful, suffocating attentiveness. I started seeing him everywhere I went. I even began to miss the days when one phone call from Carl could make him leave. I knew he must have done something to track my movements so closely. I didn't care. In fact, I played even harder. Sitting in a friend's nightclub, betas, omegas, and alphas all competed to toast me. One especially bold omega even climbed into my arms, trying every trick to make me laugh. Suddenly, he pointed at a corner and giggled. Look, even that wooden block came to a nightclub. I followed his finger, and sure enough, there was Austin. When he saw me looking, he smiled at me just like before, gentle and tolerant. I smiled too. Smiling, I gave the omega a look, and he stuffed a strawberry into my mouth. The next moment, I bit into the strawberry and fed the other half to the omega. Whether our lips touched or not, I didn't remember, but the strawberry was sweet, and Austin's smile looked painfully forced. 16. When the place closed, that little omega was helping my unsteady self to the car. Sure enough, Austin was waiting at the car door. Give him to me, please, Austin said to the omega. Such gentleness. But the omega wasn't buying it. Who are you? Arthur asked me to take him home. Who do you think you are? I'm his partner. We're married. So what? Arthur wants me with him tonight. I don't care who you. The Omega's words cut off abruptly as I was pulled into Austin's arms. I said I'm his partner. Didn't you understand? If I had really been drunk, I would never have thought the always gentle and affectionate Austin would squeeze another man's throat until it bruised. But the problem was, I wasn't drunk. Austin released the Omega and put me into the passenger seat. He even played soft, sleep-inducing music for me. But under that gentle music, I heard him murmur, "What should I do? Kill him? Or sew that mouth shut?" 17. This wasn't right. Not at all. How could Austin say something like that? I couldn't sleep at all that night after going home. The next day I ordered the investigation to be sped up. Whatever had changed in Austin, I needed to find out, and then cut ties fast. 18. Because the project under investigation was tied to a marriage alliance, just as I expected, plenty of insiders were taking advantage, secretly lining their pockets. There were even some questionable outsiders mixed in. It took about half a month of digging before a few culprits were caught. I didn't keep any of them. All were dismissed, and the project was put on hold. But Austin stayed calm. Every day when he saw me, he still only talked about small, domestic things. In the end, it wasn't him but his father who contacted me first. "Arthur, has that boy Austin made you mad again? Tell me, I'll straighten him out. I don't understand. If it's not Austin, then our project. I thought you already knew exactly why this project is in trouble. Why bring up something else? I'd assumed a mutually beneficial deal between our families. Didn't expect your ambition to go straight for my foundation." I kept smiling, not a bit flustered. On the other end, his tone shifted. He tried pulling seniority, lecturing me as a father figure and as an experienced elder. I ignored it all. Please. He didn't give birth to me, didn't raise me, and now wants to ruin me. What kind of elder is that? As soon as I hung up, Austin's message popped up. "Arthur, I made your favorite cola chicken wings today. Want to come down and eat?" Every day, like clockwork. He never got tired of it. But I was in a good mood today, so I went downstairs for once. "Austin, you've really got some nerve." I stood on the company steps, looking down at him. He acted as if he didn't hear me, carrying the lunchbox up to me. "Thick skin isn't bad, is it? At least you're talking to me." He tilted his head up, smiling gently at me like he had 1,000 times before. But all I gave back was a cold sneer. I raised my hand and gave his cheek a not-so-light slap. He didn't even look offended. Instead, he leaned his face closer into my palm. Pressing into it, he stared straight at me. Lost his memories, and yet he'd learned this kind of sly seduction. "Austin, do you know your father's trying to ruin me? You're an accomplice, aren't you?" 19. A person's face could change that fast. I almost laughed at the way Austin's face went ghost pale. So that's why he still treated me so well even though his heart was with Carl. So that's why he came back playing the devoted man even after losing his memory. Because he wasn't done using me yet. Because there was still value to squeeze out of me. I thought I was being loved again. I drew back my hand, took out a tissue, and wiped it slowly before tossing it in Austin's face. "Stop trying to play me. Do I really owe you anything? If I see you again, we'll settle this in court." I turned to leave, but Austin still wasn't giving up. He grabbed my sleeve, his voice low, like begging for something. I don't know, but I would never hurt you. Arthur, I will never hurt you. Who can say? 20. Who can say? God knows. Only God knows what Austin is really thinking. Only God knows that I'm still soft-hearted toward him. 21. I started taking aggressive measures to clean up the mess around the project. In the middle of the chaos, my phone rang. It was my sister. Before I could even scold her for not helping me, her voice trembled. "Brother, Carl's in trouble." Her tone was wrong, and my heart leapt instantly. "Don't panic. Take your time and tell me everything." From her account, she usually went to Carl's small shop a couple of days each week for trivial matters. But this time, the shop was empty. She tentatively tried going to Carl's nearby home, and found him on the floor, covered in blood. Hearing how off my sister sounded, I rushed to the hospital. The police were already there. My sister was sitting on a blue chair, hands covered in blood, trembling uncontrollably. Austin sat beside her, helping her regulate her breathing. When he saw me arrive, he stood up first. "You're here. Gemma's fine, just a little shaken." I told the police to wait until she's a bit calmer before taking her statement. I didn't have time for his chatter, nor did I care why he was here. I knelt down without hesitation and grasped my sister's hands. "Don't be afraid. I'm here." Tears immediately streamed down her face. The usually confident girl was utterly terrified. "Brother, he has knife wounds, blood everywhere. The one who stabbed him was masked and came at me. I don't know." I furrowed my brows, alert instantly. He came at you. That shouldn't be possible. Gemma is a top alpha. No one could easily harm him with just pheromones. Only someone who knew who Gemma was and was determined to hurt him would do this. Everything about it felt sinister. I waited until my sister calmed down, then stood and glanced at Austin before walking out. 22. Austin followed me outside. You're not waiting for Carl? Austin didn't answer. He simply reached and took the cigarette from my hand. Arthur, he's in surgery. I froze, awkwardly withdrawing the cigarette and shoving it back. Sorry, force of habit. I wasn't going to smoke. Leaning against the hospital wall, I asked the question anyway. You know who did this, don't you? Austin kept his head down, eyes on my feet. Yes, don't worry. I won't let him drag you or Gemma into this. That's one thing. But Carl, he wasn't hurt because of you. Don't blame yourself. Austin paused, then, seemingly uneasy, lowered his head even further, almost bent at a 90-degree angle. Then, in a barely audible whisper, he said, he was stabbed because Brandon found out. He found out Carl is my mother's illegitimate son. My eyes widened. I almost couldn't process it. I remembered not long ago, my mother was a beta. She was forcibly married to Brandon, but she never loved him. Not even a little. She ran away for 2 years but was caught. By the time she was returned, her body was weak. Brandon abused her, tortured her in every way, and she nearly died. Only as she was dying did I learn I had a half-brother. She made me swear to take care of Carl and keep the secret forever. Austin stealthily grasped a tiny corner of my sleeve. I also remembered, she made me swear that if I failed even one part, I would go down with her. He raised his face, tears just beginning to fall. Arthur, I don't want to go down. I haven't explained everything to you. I haven't earned your forgiveness yet. I'm scared. I really don't want to go. This time, I didn't pull my sleeve away. Instead, I grasped his cold fingers with my own. Don't worry. You haven't sent that bastard down yet. You haven't even waited for your brother to come out. You still owe me. Austin, don't be afraid. No one can drag you down. A nameless liquid dripped onto the floor, clattering as it fell. But something felt off. 23. By the time we returned, Carl's surgery was finished. My sister leaned against the ICU window, watching him. I held wet wipes and carefully cleaned the blood from her hands. I knew she had been visiting Carl regularly. Even now, after the incident, it was my people who had called the police. At first, I was just afraid my sister would go too far, so I sent someone to watch her. In hindsight, if I'd sent a professional, things might have been different. But that was all hindsight. The most important thing now was catching the culprit. I could tell Austin had gone through something in the past. He was too timid to stand up to his father. Saying he wouldn't involve me was probably just a way of thinking we'd all end up failing together. But I'm different. I don't fear so-called elders or alphas. If someone hurt others and tried to involve my sister, they'd pay tenfold. After calling my secretary, I turned to Austin and gave a direct order. You stay put. Wait until I've handled this. Don't go doing anything stupid behind my back. Understand? At that moment, he was like a gentle lamb, nodding obediently. 24. That old man Brandon is hiding deep. Finding evidence to lock him up wasn't going to be easy. My competitive streak flared. I decided to use myself as bait to lure him out. I cut all related projects without warning. I also asked my parents abroad to monitor Brandon's overseas investments, interfering at all costs. They knew my competitive nature and were happy to help. Only Austin, indecisive as ever, grew more anxious each day. Clinging to my waist, he whined. Arthur, I won't leave you. You won't abandon me, right? I slapped his cheek and spoke harshly. That's not guaranteed. I might turn around and pick a sweet omega, or maybe a beta, maybe an alpha. And when I crush Brandon, you're nothing but sitting ducks. You, a defeated rich second-generation kid, I might not even look at you with respect. He pressed his cheek against the top of my head. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. As long as you're in this world, as long as I can see you, nothing else matters. I raised my hand and patted his head. You are generous. But something felt off. If he used to be like warm sunlight, now he was ghostly. So strange. 25. My plan naturally reached its final step. Now, all that was left was to wait for Brandon to make a move, and then I'd close the trap. There was some risk, of course, but you can't catch a wolf without risking yourself. I was rubbing my hands together, eager and ready, but Brandon didn't even give me the chance. He died right in front of my eyes. He drove into his own death. At that moment, Austin rushed over and wrapped his arms around me. But even if I hadn't moved, he wouldn't have hit me. Arthur, don't be afraid. Austin held me with absolute protection, as if I were a priceless treasure, or maybe because he feared I might run. Brandon's death was sudden, but Austin meticulously gathered all evidence of his crimes and handed it to the police: sexual assault, domestic violence resulting in death, attempted murder. It was shocking that such a scumbag had thrived for so long. The police assigned to the case even comforted me. Don't worry, he wasn't really thriving. He had severe mental weakness and relied on sleeping pills for years, and his company had been losing money for many years. It was practically empty. I felt a surge of frustration. I had been planning to take it over. Austin, noticing my disappointment, hugged me from behind and teased, "I've got plenty of savings. I can give it all to you, if you want." I looked at him skeptically. "Really?" He smiled, his eyes curving warmly. "Really? Whatever you want is yours. Mine is yours, yours is yours. As long as you don't leave me, it doesn't matter." I shivered, disgusted by his sentimentality. "Get lost. No more taking care of your brother. No need. Gemma's there watching." Just thinking about it made me angry. That brat Gemma still couldn't resist the Omega temptation. The one who had threatened to teach Carl a lesson now shamelessly said to me, "Brother, he's not a nasty Omega, he's quite appealing." I got even angrier, grabbed Austin's ear, and ground my teeth. "Austin, you and your brother are scheming to marry into wealth, aren't you? Where did you learn these tricks?" He wasn't angry at all. He grasped my hand holding his ear. "I didn't learn tricks. I just love you so much. Really love you." I scoffed, pretending my ear wasn't red, and glared fiercely. "I'm telling you, that won't settle our score. Our business isn't done yet." Austin lifted my hand to his cheek and smiled gently. "Okay, no rush. We'll settle it slowly. After all, we still have a long, long time. A long, long happy time." Yes, the days were indeed long, and our story had only just begun. Extra, Austin's perspective. 1. I wish everyone else in the world could just disappear. Only Arthur and I remain. Then I could look at him, and he could only look at me. 2. The first time I met Arthur, I had been beaten by Brandon and thrown out the door. It was because I had sneaked out to give Carl some money and missed a tutoring session. I was bruised and battered, barely able to sit. The world had no place for me, so I curled up next to a stray cat's nest, shivering. Part of me hoped that the person who made the cat nest would come back to help me. And that's when I met Arthur. He was 12 and wasn't scared of me at all. "My goodness, are you okay? Who did this to you? Parents? Gemma? Come quickly." Arthur's parents took me to the hospital, and I begged them not to call the police. I wasn't ready to take Brandon down yet. I didn't have the power or evidence, and I didn't want him to die so easily. But Arthur clearly didn't approve of my situation. He patted his chest and waved his small hand. "Don't be afraid. Tell me if anyone hurts you. I'll protect you." I remembered that line for 12 years, until I appeared in front of him again. 3. I'm not normal. I know that. I drugged my own father and guided his mind into weakness. I psychologically controlled my half-brother from childhood, deliberately making him timid and dependent. What kind of good person does that make me? I didn't kill Brandon because I wanted him to live in torment. I didn't strangle Carl because I wanted to hear the woman's scream echo in my head, because I wanted to see the despair of a child abandoned by her father. Just a brute. Mother, just a madwoman with needles. Brother, just a worthless bastard. The world is vile, including me. But my Arthur is different. He dares to love and hate, acts boldly, and lives brightly. He shines in a crowd, and I can only see him. When I'm with him, I feel ashamed of myself. He is the sun, the moon, I'm just sewage. Yet I still desire him. 4. Arthur doesn't love me as deeply as I love him. I know that. His work, his sister, his life, all of that is more important than me. That's not acceptable. So I set a trap, to make him care for me, feel guilty, and leave only me by his side. I showed kindness to Carl in front of him to make Arthur hate me. Then I revealed I was coerced, pitiful, and needed saving. My dear Arthur would then love me more deeply, more passionately, not fading in the monotony of ordinary days. He wouldn't, like Brandon, love quickly and forget quickly. 5. I loved him so much, I wanted to devour him. But Brandon and Carl kept slowing me down, stealing inside information, saying they couldn't leave me. I was furious, desperate to remove them both. But I couldn't. What if Arthur found out? He hated people like me, scheming behind the scenes. I couldn't let him know. So I used the excuse of searching for Carl to plan and strike in secret. I knew Arthur would never force love or suspicion. Even if he abandoned me for Carl, I had excuses prepared. He would forgive me. I was betting on his soft heart. 6. 3 years. Every second, I didn't relax. I destroyed Brandon's company and ruined his health. When Arthur nearly suspected me, I happened to have a car accident. Then, I deliberately revealed Carl's identity in front of Brandon, but Carl didn't die. Luckily, Arthur began to worry for me again. I enjoyed Arthur's protection and care, but I couldn't tolerate anyone with bad intentions toward him or the slightest harm coming to him. So Brandon died. Carl should have died too, but Gemma intervened. I didn't want Arthur to be sad for his sister. Anyway, Carl wouldn't interfere with me anymore. Finally, only Arthur remained in my world. Next, I thought, it was time for me to be the only one in Arthur's world as well. 7. Oh, and one more thing. Curious what's in that safe? Recipes from Juxiang restaurant, the handkerchief Arthur used to bandage me when we first met, photos of him spanning 15 years, never missing a single moment since I met him. Don't call it spying. That would be ridiculous. What we shared wasn't spying.